Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host Elias. I gotta say I'm happy. I've been getting a lot of new guests, and I'm gonna kind of talk crap about some of the old guests here. Yeah, just a little bit. That they haven't been as reliable, and the positive side of me say they're busy. Man, 9 out of 10 times they are, and they're just few that just gives me idiotic things. Say, oh, reach back to me later. I said, I'm a very busy person. You either respond ASAP or we get disconnected. And I mean, some of you could complain this is me being a snobby New Yorker. Part of it is true. I operate minute to minute. You either get I need a decision, and especially when I know it shouldn't be complicated, I expect a quick answer. But if something complicated, I will give time. Okay. But look, I could rant about me, how I am, how I operate, and how I talk. And if I know something simple, and if you want to give such a political, wishy-washy answer, I say, there's plenty of people who wants to do this. I don't need you. Yeah, some of you could say good things about it. I mean, I call it respecting my time. Okay. And some of you is going to think, oh, that's snobby, be a little more graceful. And that ain't easy, especially being raised in, the Big Apple, New York City. It's fast paced. Okay. And if you're holding the line up or you're just being in the way, you will get instant feedback. And some of it's not going to be pleasant. Just some of you, some things to think about if you want to decide to tour around the city, even though tourism has decreased significantly, because Times Square used to be very crowded. It was very easy to walk through. So, you could blame Trump. You could blame whatever. I'll even blame local government. I think I think overall it's just the global climate, as well, especially the tariffs. Look, I could rant about it, but I'm sure somebody is going to tell me to shut up and get straight to the thing. And I am going to do that. For once, I'm just going to agree with you. I know some of you are kind of impatient like me, so let me stop being a 2-minute hypocrite right here. So I have a guest here. And, some people have stereotypes of AI tech people, nerdy, they're socially awkward, they are lanky, they're physically weak. The guest I got here, he has a football background, so he will tackle you in half. Oh, now I'm just instigating. I'm starting stuff. Okay, let me stop. I'm just kidding right there. But he could have been the next A-list quarterback. Let's just say that. I was gonna say Tom Brady, but I think that's even a little too crazy, even for me thinking about it. And he does got the first name of a certain Manning. Okay, when I say it. And I'm not a sports person unless you invite me to the house. I could easily get into sports, learn some of their system, but the advanced stuff it's hopeless. Just don't bother. Just don't waste your time with that. I know about how the 3-point, 1-point, the touchdown, that stuff works. But you talk about the tactics and all of that. So, I'm just gonna choose to have ADHD on purpose on you because I don't give a rat's behind. So we have Peyton Wilfrey here. And he is the co-founder. It's a good thing I researched this. I was going to think he was the founder of the whole darn thing. He has the other person as well, but he ain't here. So we're just going to deal with, let's just be real, the boss that matters the most, the CEO. Okay. That's look, all companies have a CEO, even some small, well, not small businesses. They just got just a boss, an owner, right? That's how it is. So let's welcome Peyton Wilfrey. And the first question I ask most of my guests is, what do you want the viewers and listeners to know about?
Dude, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate being on. That was a great introduction there. Yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me on a lot. In regards to the football thing, definitely was not the next A-list quarterback. I did play quarterback. I was good in high school, and I was mediocre in junior college. So we're okay. We're good. I definitely wasn't the next big thing. I loved it, but moved on. But anyways, sorry. I am a ranter here. So what I want people to the question was like, what I would want to know, what people know about me. Is that what you're saying? So about myself, I would say that I would want everyone to see me as trying to make something for the world that I can be proud of. I want to make it to where when I am spoken about by my grandkids, great grandkids, I want them to brag about me. I don't want them to be just like, oh yeah, that's my grandpa. I want them to be like, oh, let me tell you about my grandpa. So everything I do in life, not for some sort of selfish, like egotistical sake, but I see that as a measure of, did you do something important if your family brags about you? And so I brag about many of my members of my family. And so I want to be someone, I want to do something in life that is worth being bragged about by others, but not like to keep the football references going a little bit, but not like Richard Sherman, where I'm the one saying I'm the best, like I want other people to, in my family, to be proud that they're related to me.
That's fair enough. Legacy building right there, right? And I do, this remind me of this meme, about the grandpa. One of them, he was a World War II vet, someone to be very proud of. Legacy building, and then to the right is my grandpa. He has like freaking dog filters and all. And that was my grandpa. And you can make the comparisons if you're traditional minded. One is legacy building, and one of them, I'm just gonna call it meme building or silly building. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna be pretty forgettable. So Peyton does not want to be the latter. He wants to be the former. All right, let me just bring us a little bit the younger folks here. I mean, my youngest, my generation, and Gen Z. Alphas, you're not allowed yet. Okay, y'all continue to be interesting. Let me just say it like that.
They are interesting.
And forget about the beta. They're old babies. So don't worry about it. Just continue to be adorable or pain in the neck to your parents.
The betas,
I'm sure you're doing that.
Betas are the ones being born right now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I have a beta then. My wife and I we have a 3-month-old, so I guess she's Gen Beta. I didn't really think about that. It's Gen Beta. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's more of a media concept. I don't know why I'm able to keep up with it. It's probably
we love categorizing. We love categorizing.
It's a human thing. You're right. It is such a human thing. We love categorizing. Yeah, it literally started this year.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyone from New Year's of 2025 to the present, that's beta, and they're just our new adorable newborns. Alrighty then, but you didn't come. I'm sure you didn't want to listen to about generations and all of that. So you already kind of answered what inspired you to started the All Tales, and I know some things you want to tackle as well, like the problems, right? That making the book is expensive. Mm-hmm. It's true. I searched for several agencies that are good at making books. On average, they cost thousands of dollars just to have them write it, sort it, have the cover, the art, all of that. You're absolutely right about that. And this is recent knowledge, and you're trying to streamline that, make that, I would say, pretty affordable. And I would say that's definitely a problem, especially those who want to be new publishers, and some people can't tell their stories because they don't have access to it. I mean, let's just go back in history. I'm sure there's a lot of history untold because they didn't know how to tell a story. They didn't know how to write a story. They didn't know how to preserve the story.
Oh, I know.
Along the way.
I live out here in East Tennessee, and there's a lot of cemeteries like with the church. And so you see so many, just thousands of graves on a 10-minute drive. Sometimes it seems, because there's a cemetery on every corner. And it's just so many of those people like are unfortunately going to be forgotten other than their name on a gravestone somewhere, because 99% of people don't know how to adequately preserve their story. And even the most mundane story to you, if you think that your life story is mundane or whatever the story is, I find someone in your life is going to find it absolutely fascinating. Whether it's someone in your life who's alive today or someone a few generations down the road going, holy crap, they live in 2025. My grandpa thought this about the current events that were happening. Like, it matters. People will find it interesting.
That's what I guess. So it's definitely not a egotistical goal. I mean, look, if you want to disagree, there's a comment section right here. Just remember that if you get censored, you blame that on YouTube, not me. I support free speech unless you said death to A, B, C, D. And recently went through a political violent event, so let's be extra cognizant of that, extra aware of it. So let's calm that crap down a bit. I don't care where you are politically. This is a human thing. This is right and wrong kind of thing here. This is not how we should tackle this problem. I love those debates, like solution, debate about solutions or something about political violence. That's something I'm interested in. Instead of just, oh, this person was evil, you got it coming, or something like, "Oh, he was the next coming of Jesus." They both were cringeworthy to me. They both were exaggerated to me. All right, so maybe tackling political violence will be some more interesting, but I'm not going to make this overly political because it could be historical and it's definitely going to be technical, okay? But it's not going to be overly political. And sadly, that's just where America's at. Some people just can't take different opinions, and I'm going to say this again, and I don't care if I can't even talk now. I don't care if I have to repeat this ad nauseum. Disagreement does not equal hate. You just have a different opinion, challenging ideas, okay? Even worse, with other incendiary weapons. I'm going to use vague terms on purpose. All right. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Now I got probably somewhat of a silly question. Can you create a history book? I know it's the purpose is around, capturing special events and family and, stories about them. But if someone wants to make a history book, I don't know about, let's see, what is something that don't get talked about a lot in America? Well, you talked about the Gilded Age a bunch of times, or I'm sure a person-centered story is possible. Can someone come with a new, I don't know, history book that talks about, it doesn't have to be a personal, I know personal you could do that, so I'm not going to ask that kind of question.
Yeah, they totally can. And just for context for anyone, I don't know what will be in the description or whatnot, but what I'm starting is All Tales, which is a book creation platform to where you can all in one screen, write, illustrate, format, print on demand. And eventually we want to make it to where you can publish as well. It's just easier said than done. But, we're just trying to make book creation way easier and affordable for everybody. And so the types of books that you can make right now that we had to kind of start with, because we had to pick a lane and then try to get that down. And then we can kind of build upon that as we go, perfect that and then add on a different. So we started with kind of like the picture storybook children's book style, just because the hardest thing to tackle in what we're trying to do is the illustration side of things, making it to where people can use AI to illustrate a story if they cannot afford a actual human illustrator, which we always encourage that if you have the means and you have the funds, keep paying artists. AI only imitates art, but it does not create its own art. So I always say that. But the point of All Tales is to make it to hey, I'm casually interested in telling this story. I'm casually interested in doing this. Now it's the barrier to entry financially is extremely low, as well as we've simplified it so much to where I would say a 5-year-old or a 95-year-old could do it. So that, just for the context there. And even with this book style though, you 100% can make a history book. You can make any type of story. I'm a free speech extremist as well, with the exceptions of like you kind of talked about earlier, calling upon violence and whatnot, actual calls and stuff like that. But I'm a free speech believer as well. I think that's really the best solution to bad ideas is allowing better ideas to rise. And I think the same thing goes with publications, with freedom of press as well. When it comes to hey, if you want to make a book on our platform spewing lies, you can do that, but we're going to make it to where if you try to push it, there's going to be a very easy lane for everybody to disprove it. Kind of like we want to do it towards kind of like X, where they have the community notes. We want to make it to where eventually, and this is down the road when we make it to where if you make a book and you push it to the public, the community notes, people can go, actually, well, here's the verified facts as to why this on this page is wrong, and stuff like that. And so, and I told you I'm a ranter. I go on all these different tangents here, but yes, to answer your question, you can make a history book. You can make any type of book. You can upload your own illustrations. You can generate the illustrations. Doing a history book with our illustration, it's going to look like a children's book if you use the AI that we provide, because we've trained it on a very basic generic art style that is very cutesy. It's kind of just to be very simple. But if you wanted to make a little bit more of a quality history book, you'd probably upload your own illustrations if you were to provide those. So
I like that answer. That's a honest answer. So I think kids definitely need to know their history. So I'm not against that for the pragmatic point of view, because I think a lot of them don't know history and
it's
statistics. Statistics are showing that it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
And it's absolutely critical that kids know their history, because there are studies. I'd have to find it. I didn't think about this study in preparation for this, but there's a study where they talk about how when kids know their family story, their family narrative, whatever it might be, they grow up, especially going through the awkward puberty years where they're trying to figure out who they are and stuff like that. They have a better sense of belonging and self-esteem because they know that they are a part of a larger collective narrative, even if they might not even agree with it necessarily. Especially, I mean, today you look back in history with today's morals, you're going to condemn everybody, right? But and I've found that it tends to be people who, that looking at it and condemning people with today's morals, it lacks the consideration that if we were to be born back then, we'd probably have the similar thought process. And if they're to be born today, they'd think like us today. Like everyone's a product of their time. But it helps a lot with kids. And that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to make this, is because I got the idea to make this business when I wanted to make a children's book for my family, just to give them the link about my grandfather who fought in World War II, just like you talked about the two grandparents earlier. My grandfather fought in World War II and is a big inspiration to me. And so I wanted to make sure that at the time when I had the idea of my theoretical children, now I have a daughter, I wanted to make sure that they could have the opportunity to somewhat know him the way that I got to know him in person. He died in 2019 at 96 years old. So my kids, no chance that there's going to be overlap. And so I wanted to make sure that they could know their history, make sure they can know their family history, and then also just promote overall history learning, because it's critical to avoid mistakes today. As they say, those who, if you don't study history, you're bound to repeat it. But also, if you don't study your family story, you're bound to be lost, I'd say.
I like that nice tie in, that little you mentioned I'll say a few things that are really important. I want to just hone in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's identity and belonging. I mean, that's what we humans look for. And that is very essential. I mean, I wish I knew the history. I mean, when I went to my teenage period, even though I knew history, but things had a blind spot. So wait a minute. I know about this history, that history, but I don't know about my own family history. I don't know about, where some of the money came from. I have some to my DNA. So I don't know if I was part of the conquistador line of conquerors, or maybe the oppressed, or maybe someone who's oppressed, but they able to give life before they die from a disease. I don't know. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. If you have some kind of identity, you could at least, I will say, tame the awkwardness and feeling lost for a bit, and then you could rebound much faster. I mean, I will say, for someone who used to be depressed, I only beat it in 2 years. For someone to know history, because I started doing it. And I say this line before: when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll do something about it. So, and that happened to me. As I got sick and tired of feeling depressed. This is what my life is going to be: being depressed and miserable. So I might as well just end it. Self-delete. I'd say that for YouTube's sake. If it was just pure rumble, I could have said the real word. It starts with an S, and you know what that is.
I'm glad you didn't. Glad you didn't.
So, and that was really tempting during the time. But just the reason why I said that's because it's true. I was lost on that. So, okay, I know I have some of this, but I'm still piecing it together. But you know what? I've learned how to enjoy the progress instead of just being married to the outcomes.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a perfectionist too, so I can somehow relate to that. I want the best outcome possible. If it's a little substandard in that, I'm not happy. And that used to just trigger my misery. I said, okay, you could get out of 100 tasks, if you get 2 of them wrong, I used to focus only just those 2 and forget about the rest of the 98%. I was being hypercritical. I said, oh my God, I really got to get this together. I said, this is mostly a great thing. I said, maybe I could have chipped in more by helping, solve those last 2 tasks this person needed to get right. But, I was being a hypercritic, just lasering those 2 things that this person got wrong. And it's very theoretical, but my point is, some people are so hypercritic. You could do most of the things right, but if you do one thing wrong, they'll just laser on that one thing. And some people are just hypercritical, and that's why you need identity. You know who you are, what you're good at, have an idea why you have these quirks or great personality. Where does that come from? Or, even some of the talents, I agree. I think knowing the history is, even general history is very important. Just like you said, the ignorant are going to repeat it, the errors of history. And the other thing I want to tie into is I would call it time contextualization, unless I come up with a better word, because these TikTok youth who know everything about nothing. Okay, I'm gonna rant a little bit now because some of the things they say are just so stupid, and some of got the gall to talk about misinformation. Some of them are the biggest source of it. You don't know your stuff. Shut up and actually study before you spill your mouth. And sadly, the reason why they're popular because the cliques of their same age will just agree based on feelings and what they're going through. No, they need to be taught, and one-liners are not going to help solve complicated issues. Not everything is a click of a button. I wish life was that way. Shoot, I would have got so much things done. Shoot me, I got a bit of a weight problem. I wish I have a click that could just look most handsome, whatever. Who knows? I could have been a freaking model, but that doesn't exist. And forget, I would have talked down on Pete. May have my nose up like that. So these ugly peasants, who knows? But not every is a silly example. But the point is, not everything is a click away. Something's going to take work and effort. Okay, so that's my point. And these kids, I'm sure a lot of them, they preach morality, but a lot of them are going to fall so short if they were in the 1800s. Let's use slavery, for example. Some might own slavery because it was a great economic opportunity. Is it wrong? Yep. Yes, but at that time, it was a great economic opportunity, especially for the South.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. It's wrong. Let me just be clear for those of you who are low IQ. Slavery is wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. But we got to have context. At that time, it was a great opportunity. And people do things when they see a great opportunity, right or wrong.
Oh, all the time. I mean, many times people are not given an opportunity to really, truly test their morals. And so, especially if they, like I said, if they grow up in a time where some people they might hear some people saying, hey, it's wrong, but some people go, hey, no, hold on, that's not wrong. But like you start hearing people debating it. And so if you grew up in that time, I even have ancestors that I discovered owned slaves. And so at first I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm so ashamed. And I'm like, obviously not ideal, but you got to have the charity of realizing that everyone's a product of their times. Who knows if those people grew up and they only ever heard, hey, it's completely fine. That's just because, we're better than them. And then that's all they're told. They're not to be blamed to be told that that's, if that's all they've been told and they've never had a differing opinion their whole life to challenge their brain to think about it in a different way. And so, today we all tend to do the same thing where we're like, oh, I wouldn't ever do that. I'm like, hold on now. Let's put you back in that situation, take away your whole entire life experience and give you the life experience of someone who grew up in the freaking 1400s. I'm sure that you would probably do some of the stuff that some of the British royalty were doing that was pretty jacked up. Like everyone's a product of their times. So.
Oh yeah, like the royal incest.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think that's a good thing? I mean,
no.
I'm sure 99.99% of you could say that no problem. But still practice among that 0.0001%.
But then let's just say you grew up your whole life being used to these luxuries, and then now you're being told, okay, hold on, if I marry that girl, there's a chance I'm going to lose the throne. But if I marry, she's kind of my cousin, but honestly, I'd rather marry her and keep everything for sure rather than marry her and risk losing everything. And so everyone's, again, opportunity. Once you're given an opportunity, you start thinking a little bit differently. And so, not saying it's right. I'm just saying everyone acts according to their situation a lot more than just in a academic setting, thinking about a theoretical, given this or this, I would take this. Like, okay, now they're in front of you. Now the same. Are you going to have the same reaction or are you going to do something different, So.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you kids got to learn history. So just listen to these TikTok, and I even throw all the other social media, YouTube dummies, Instagram dummies, Facebook dummies. I refuse to call them X. Twitter dummies. I still call them Twitter. I don't care. I'm part of that camp. I'm that.
I feel you.
It was much better branding, and I haven't joined Blue Sky yet. Even Blue Sky dummies. Yep, I'm tackling with social media. You're not safe. You are not safe with me, and I use some of them. Okay, but I'm trying to do something a little bit different. But sometimes I'm have to resort to your level just for you to get it. Not ideal, but I'm a pragmatist at the end of the day. So that's my moral compass. Let's talk about getting it done, and then I perfect it later. That's me. I think that's definitely better for my mental health as opposed to just try to be perfectionist the first shot. Also, I just won't do anything. Paralysis analysis. That's it. and I used to be that. So you know, I mean, I could go on these rants for a long while, but yeah, time, context matters. And trust me, you have access to all this knowledge, but yet you're not applying it. And I would say that's a shame, really. We have access to knowledge in an unprecedented way. And yet what I hear on the social medias is just not even social media, sometimes traditional media. Let's bash the cable news and them too. But thing is, I'd say that to some extent, it tends to be wiser, but they still push propaganda as well. This is why you got to know your stuff.
Well, and often though, I do think that there is a analysis paralysis type of thing. I mean, like if anyone has ever been to In-N-Out, the restaurant, like they make their menu like 4 items, 5 items, whatever for like the burgers. They have 3 different burgers. They don't offer you like 20 different ones. And I know that, in light of recent events, but I've heard how they talk about whenever there is any sort of, group ran attack or anything like that, looking at the past events of, the recent events as if that could have happened from, an organized, thing. They always talk about how whenever something like that happens, they want to give out as much information that could be contradictory as well to add confusion. Because if you only really, one of the problems that I think that, you're talking about, well, that we have all this access to all this knowledge, but we're dumber than ever, it seems sometimes. It's because when you're being tossed every way by, like for instance, in the health industry, this is one thing I've always griped about is that they're like, well, actually, we discovered that this is healthy for you. Actually, we discovered that that's killing you. Like there's always like all these like back and forth. So no one really knows what to believe. And so you eventually just go, actually, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop even thinking about it. And so I think that happens a lot too, where, if there's a lot of different things coming at you, we tend to go with either the thing that just sounds the best to us, or we just stop even thinking about it, thinking critically about it in general. And so it's the curse of too much information, I would say, really.
Yeah, no, sadly, you are right. And I mean, I've been to restaurants where I personally suffer that when 30 options are in my face.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no, let me not even use restaurant. Let me use a niche place that I used to love going to. And it took me 30 minutes to make my decision. Normally, I make it less than 5 seconds. But it took me 30 minutes because I was just testing, and I was a moocher, I'm going to be honest, of David's Tea. I mean, it's an e-commerce now only, but they used to have physical locations where I tried all these weird tea flavors. You think I'm going to make it up. Check it online. Check davidstea.com. They had birthday cake tea. I said, let me have a sample of that. I drank that. It tasted just like birthday cake. So how you sick mad scientist able to perfect birthday cake taste in the tea? How? And I got even more curious, and I was just at curiosity even made my indecision even worse. I was like, I wanted to try a lemon zest. Not even lemon zest. I think it was like lemon cake or something. So let me taste that. So yeah, get this one right. Not getting that one. And then even autumn leaves. I say, what? Autumn leaves tea? Drink that. This is interesting. Okay. And the point is, you have so much options, you don't know what to do. But if you're a traditionalist, you just go for regular tea. That's it. You go about it. I mean, some people would resort to that. I resort to that when I was in a rush. I was just give me the most plainest tea you got. That's it. I got a car. I don't got time just to try 100 different flavors, and they literally have over 100 different tea flavors. I mean, foods you can make up. You'd be surprised. I had orange tea is not that strange. I've drank that before. They have apple tea. And I don't think they have crepe pizza tea yet, but I don't think it's gonna taste good.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that tasting good.
And yeah, I just think too much options does create that situation, as opposed to a place that just offers 6 tea flavors.
Yep.
It's okay. I've tried 5. I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna try the orange flavor one, or I will just try the green tea, whatever. More traditional flavors. You make the decision so much faster because you have less options to play with. So I think I get what you say. Yeah, but when we offer too much information or even choices, we get stuck. So it's yeah, you're right on that. And I wish I was more charitable, but I said, but people, talk to someone there's ways around it. Be more resourceful instead of just staying stupid.
Yeah.
To be honest. So But to your point, it has. It's valid. It's a valid point. I'm not gonna even try to argue even against that because it is valid. I personally, even when it comes to history books, I said, I had to be creative. I had to narrow it down to stuff I know that, okay, I want to, American history going to avoid, definitely going to avoid European history. Oh, medieval Africa. Don't know much about that one. Let me pick that one and read that because I think the way world history's been taught is a disgrace, but that's a whole other rant for another day. I'm not gonna pull you there.
It's fascinating too, seeing how, like, I know I lived in England for a little bit, and so it's fascinating to see how we taught the Revolutionary War versus how they taught it. You know, the two perspectives there. For them, they see it as like just another freaking colony that we lost control of, whatever, not a big deal. But for us, we're like, heck yeah, baby, let's go. We're better than you. And they're like, yeah, honestly, we mentioned that we kind of got America started because we had you guys and you guys fought back and we eventually, gave up. And so it's fascinating seeing how history is taught from different perspectives like that as well. Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. And well, the French version, when I found out, I was like, oh, no, we helped the Americans with their revolution. They got to thank us. That's the French perspective.
Well, we kind of do. We kind of do have to thank them.
No, I mean, factually, they are right because it was a turning point. Especially when we started getting a momentum, and then them coming in, they definitely turned the tides. There is some truth to that. But the French are going to teach you, like, it wasn't for us helping them, it inspired us to start our own revolution. Which theirs, I'll say, is far more bloodier, and I think even crazier.
Oh.
And I think Americans were about freedom and all that. Yeah, economics were involved, but the French were more like the rich and the poor. That freaking income gap was significant. And
which, not to make this too political, but I think we're nearing that one more than we are any other type. Not that we were close, not saying that, but not trying to do doomsday type of fear stuff, speculating. But I'm just saying that's one that, honestly, when you study that one, you're like, okay, I kind of relate a little bit more. Just on how the world is today a little bit. So it's just fascinating. Study your history, everybody. It's important.
Yeah, that's why we're talking about history. Even though this is a business tech thing, but hey, I could mix things up. It's more interesting that way. So deal with it, people. Deal with it. All right. No, but and I think you could create like wedding books and all that. 'Cause that's a special family.
Yeah.
Milestone.
There's a lot of cool ways to apply it. We had I've done it for a couple buddies. I'm actually doing another one for a buddy next month, to where basically we make a book. Like they basically made a children's book telling the story of how they met and fell in love. So it's still like written just adult wise, normal and whatever. But they used it in a cool way to where they had it as like the wedding guest sign-in book, to where the wedding guest would sign in around their story. So it kind of worked in multiple ways, where the wedding guests got to kind of skim through their story. So that way, if the family came and they only knew the groom or the bride, whatever, like, distant, cousins who obviously you're not always introducing your spouse, your future spouse. So like you have to meet every single one of my family. So there's going to be people at the wedding who don't know one or the other. And so it made it to where when people came to the wedding, compared to my wedding when I was there, at my wedding, the conversations I had were a lot of like, oh, so how'd you guys meet? Oh yeah, we met on Tinder. Haha, yeah, I know Tinder, whatever, but we made it work. And then you have the same conversation over and over again. But for these weddings, it's been awesome because they're able to have slightly deeper conversations. Like, oh, hey, I saw that you guys met on a roller coaster. How, like, oh yeah, hey, we were just put right next to each other, whatever, right? And so like, it's just, you're able to have slightly, and I guess I really just gave an example of still a how he met story, but like they got to know you as a couple a little bit more, as well as the couple. Now one of them is actually trying for kids right now, so they're really excited. They're excited to be able to read their story to their kids, and then also be able to be reminded of like, oh, that's right, my cousin did make it. Hey, little Jimmy, this is my cousin. This is your, what would that be? This would be your first cousin 1 times removed, whatever. They're the ones who did this story, and then it spurs more storytelling and more talking and more reminiscing. So it's just been a really cool way to apply. Just, it's taking a book. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just reapplying the wheel to different things, So it's really cool.
Or, well, yeah, I just think you're updating the wheel, I guess.
We're making 21st century. We're making it so everyone can make their own wheel really easily. You don't have to go to Michelin anymore.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great way to put it. And I think I do have an angle how to think about this, because social media. Yep, I gotta bash them again. I love you. I gotta bash you again. I'm a tough lover. We post so much photos. We post so much stuff, and I don't even care. You call me conspiracy theorist. Has been proven many times. Government and strangers and all that could snoop through your things, and we forget most of the time what we post too. So you making those memories extra valuable, and something that's going to be preserved in our brain instead of just outsourced it to the phone or to the laptop. So you're definitely emphasizing the importance of memories, which I think has been lost. So which that ties into the legacy building and preserving, stories and history and all that. So I think that's another thing you're tackling. I'm not sure that was intentional or not, but I won't be surprised if it is.
Yeah, we just want everyone to preserve their stories more. I mean, I think it goes back to what we're talking about, where when you have too many options, you're not gonna. Sometimes you have analysis paralysis, where you can't make a decision on what to eat if there's too many options on the menu, or if if on the internet there's just we've never had such access to knowledge yet. We also seem to be the most, I don't know, even if I'd say dumb, but we tend to be the least wise because we tend to ignore all the information at us. And so same thing when it comes to our memories. I think I have 10,000 photos and videos on my phone just from, sometimes it's work. I do roofing. So sometimes it's pictures of shingles or whatever. Or sometimes it's, I take 1,000 photos of my wife because she goes, I want to take a photo right now. So I'm like, all right, no, you don't look good there. Okay. Let me do that for an hour. But, sometimes it's, but overall with having such a extreme access to taking pictures, we don't actually preserve memories as well. So I'm really hopeful that we can find a way to kind of just help people kind of slow down a little bit when it comes to even preserving memories. Like, hey, make a book. I want you guys to make we're going to do, we really want to make it to where there's a big community of All Tales of people to where we can do like, type of weekly challenges. Like, hey, make a book. Whoever makes a book with their top 10 memories, you get X, Y, and Z or whatever. I don't know, something like that. Like we just want to encourage healthy social media usage. And like we want to make it to where we can also social mediaize the book creation process, but in a healthy social media way, not a toxic way, to where we can make it to where it's kind of a guided social media to where you can't get addicted to it. You can't have your mental health ruined by it, but you can also be, if only, improved by it. So
making those moments extra special, and you're combating, you touched on autopilot, just do things quick, automated, done. We only put a conscious thought about it. We just automate. We go on autopilot, especially when we post social media and all that. We post photos and videos and vlogs, and we forget about it because it's just mundane stuff. So you're preserving the special and making it more of a conscious thing too, to make us more alert of it, which it's definitely a need for sure. If anyone would disagree, just put in the comment section. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to the truth. I say that. So feel free to do that at your risk. That's all I'm going to say. Especially if you speak craziness. Remember, I don't believe in censoring. Like, I've kept comments of people calling me dumb or wrong. I've kept those.
It's the way to do it.
And look, I read them, but I thought I was going to be sensitive. I thought I would be one of those butthurt people, but I guess I've been through so much. It's just, I've been through so much worse. That's nothing. And I've heard much worse. So if you're going to be creative, you got to be creative with your comments, people. Say you're dumb or your mama's fat. You know how many times I heard your mama's fat? I'm raised in an urban area, so I've heard much crazier than that. So do your worst. That's all I'm going to say. And just keep it purely verbal. Again, that's all I'm going to say about that. So listen, all I'm going to say is this has been a great, interesting, business/AI. I will not definitely think about this episode wasn't for this guest here. So, oh yeah, so this is a blind spot. So yeah, enhancing storytelling and production and all that good stuff. And look, you got someone who you have an affordable alternative, even though publishing is TBD, TBA, whatever you want to call it, to be decided or to be announced. It's in the works. Okay, but for now, you just create your your book with illustrations and no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, just create your one-off book. It could be a children's book. You can give the link to family and friends, order copies and stuff like that. But you'll save it to your profile once we make it to where you can, publish it or at least make it available to other people who visit All Tales, and you can do that later on. But for now, go there and make a book. It's really exciting. You don't have to be an author. We try to make it really easy. We have writing assistants and illustration assistants. So you can't have AI write the whole story for you because that's slop and that's lazy, but you can have it help you out. So
yep, I agree. And I have said this before about AI. Let it be your assistant, but you have to be the driver. You have to be the boss.
100%.
Don't let AI do that. And I've tried that just to prove my point. I let AI let the way, and it's the results are not optimal. I'm just gonna say that. And I have let it do political analysis, and I've caught it with several contradictions. That's not correct. That's not correct. So you still gotta have a brain. You still gotta have a vision and be guided more by what you want instead of what AI wants to steer you towards.
Well, dude, honestly, I just realized AI talking about how there's so much information out there for everyone on social media, information for us to access. That's why AI, every time the GPT or Grok or freaking Claude or any of those language ones, that's why they hallucinate out there, is because there's a bunch of right and wrong information out there. So sometimes they're pulling from freaking wrong places too. So not even the AI is even susceptible to freaking, being tricked and deceived by how much over information there is out there. So sorry. I mean, I know I'm going back to that. It just connected in my brain. I was like, yeah, even AI is isn't victimless of being, deceived by too much.
Yeah, exactly. And I have said this before, and I just hope you've been paying attention to this, listeners, viewers, get some wise pearls, going through the whole, why this is such a great opportunity for you, especially if you think you can't tell. So look, yeah, assistants right there. Okay. You got the writing and illustration assistants. I mean, one more you can ask for. Oh, smart eye will say, publishing. It's coming. Relax.
We got a lot coming. Talk is cheap though. Once we get there, we'll talk about it more.
Was it released? Yeah, it was recently released. So look,
yeah, we launched it on. See, today we're recording on a Tuesday. We launched it on Friday night, technically Saturday morning at 2:30 a.m. So on Friday, it's supposed to be the 12th. I guess it was 12th in California at the time. It wasn't the 12th in Eastern time where you and I are. But yeah, so we're only a few days old. We have a lot of bugs that we're still working out right now, but we're eager and we're working hard and working fast.
Yeah, so if you want to use your comments more productively, give that feedback, report a bug. There you go. That's a more productive way to do that. I would say just do it directly to their site though. That'll be the optimal use of that. I don't think the YouTube comment section or even Rumble comment section will be the most wise. Well, it's gonna be Rumble only from my end. But they have a YouTube channel as well. So I'm gonna link their site and all their social medias, in the show notes, just like I always do, normal practice. So you're gonna get that. So try it out. You could be an author today or sometime in the future. Let me just say it like that.
Or you can just make a good book for a significant other. Just say, "Hey, honey, I love you. Here's a book that I made." And she's like, "Wow, you made a book!" You're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna freaking put some tape over the All Tales logo on the back. Yeah, I made this book for you." Yeah.
Look at that. That's. I didn't expect that response, and I expect a lot of things without that one. So just cover. No,
I'm just. I made a book for my wife for her birthday, just children's book format, but just here's why I love you. Here's why you're awesome. So, anyways, I was just doing one last little plug of how you could use our platform. If you thought that it's not for you, maybe it is. It still is. So,
listen, look. Author skill unlocked. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. They'll use more gamey and nerdy terms. And this is not, to be honest, this is the least expected, but it doesn't mean it wasn't valuable and enjoyable. It's definitely valuable and enjoyable for me because, AI use is so broad. The only limitation really is our imagination.
Well, I was just gonna say I appreciate you having me on. This is the first podcast. This is not the first podcast I've ever done. I've done once before when I tried making an app in college. It was a dud. But this is the first podcast I've done for All Tales. And so Elias, I'm incredibly grateful for you having me on. You're awesome, dude. Everyone, Elias is awesome. Keep following along on his videos. He's a nice guy. He's intellectually honest. At the very least, he is intellectually honest. But He seems like a very knowledgeable guy. I don't know him like he's my best friend, but from what I've been able to tell about you, Elias, it just seems like you're a good guy. You have the right direction that you're heading, and so I'm going to be following along. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Cause it takes to make this episode. If it was just me alone, it would have been just a monologue. Some people love it, some people can't stand it. Oh well, at least I give you the description so you could choose to waste your time or not. Entirely up to you, right there.
Yeah.
So again, check out All Tales. Okay, it is all ALL and then tails, not like the tail of the animals. Like, let me spell that way. Is TALES.com.
Okay,
yep. That link is going to be in the description. Go
awesome.
ahead.
I've gotten some emails from people sending me their pets' health history. Sometimes they're like, "Hey, so this is Sparkles. She's I'm like, I have to email them like, I'm sorry if there's an All Tales out there with like an animal tail thing, like wrong company. So yeah, so just. That's just a funny little anecdote. About every month or so, I get an email of someone's pet's health history because they get us mixed up with some sort of animal service out there. It's kind of funny. So,
but that's another book idea.
Yeah, there we go. Turn into a book.
There you go. Turn to a book. Pro-capitalist, pro-shameless plugin. You should know that by now. So just deal with it. So now for the. Oh, actually, before I wrap this up, anything else you want to add before I wrap this up?
Yeah, just your guys, your stories matter. I don't think that they don't. Even if it's a rough draft and you never sees a light of day, it matters. And so also we help you guys find your ancestors for free. So I've set up a team of people to hop on a video call, kind of like how me and Elias are doing right now, except it's not a podcast, but we help you build your family tree for free, and we don't charge you for it. And then we just ask that you let us make a video about someone that we find, so that way we can keep building our socials, and then you can know your family history, and hopefully in a roundabout way, you know some more stories that you might one day make on All Tales. So if you guys are interested in that, check us out on social media, just at All Tales Official.
Oh, wait a minute. I normally don't have a post question.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it only in, I knew I forgot something. This is it. There you go. Host exposed. Professional moment. Oh, the world's going to end. No, it's not. It's just a minor Google. Is it limited only to the US or is it global?
I guess it technically is global, although we are mostly just thinking about the US for now, but just because we got to focus on one. But the problem with going across the globe, not everyone has freedom of press and stuff like that. And so when we're probably going to have to, once we start getting users outside the US, we'll probably have to be like, okay, shoot, we're getting a couple of users in this country. Let's look at their laws first and make sure that we're not going to get freaking, extradited out there. And they're like, hey, what are you guys doing? You have our people, you guys are showing them books about, freedom of speech. We don't believe in that here. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. We just gotta, for now, just the US. But yeah, I guess if you're in the UK, if you're anywhere in Europe, you could probably just be a one-off. But I guess if we get big there, I won't hate it. We'll just have to kind of pause and figure out the laws there and make sure we can make it applicable for wherever you're at.
You see, and look, he has good head on his shoulders. So this is the look. I'm just gonna throw a bunch of titles: the boss, the president, all that. So there you go. He's level headed. At least he's not trying to shove Americanism down the whole entire globe. And I always disagree with that approach. So yep, say laws and their cultures and all that, and then I'll say expand globally. So hey, that's intelligent. Not
Appreciate
against it at all. So hey, check that out as well. So good. You see, love to see that. That is something that I knew. I forgot my little voice. Like, you forgot something. I'm happy you mentioned that. So now for my shameless plug-in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, comment, subscribe. Maybe feeling generous. Donate. And then when you donate, I'm going to have exclusive episodes, and these are the ones that I'm going to really be truly uncensored. This is me being 10% uncensored. Really uncensored. Crazy stuff. You will think I'm a nut, and I don't blame you. Maybe I am. You'll see about that. But for the time being, you get shout outs and your own emotes, and you deserve it because you're helping me run. Join Pot Match. It's a great way to get guests, and it's very organized too, because I didn't have to do a lot of the work. I don't have to go through freaking email chains and dig for important information. It gets annoying, people. And we know we get thousands, even tens of thousands of emails per day. So join Pot Match, and that one pager, you could change it on the fly instantaneously instead of just, I don't know, correcting it through a Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, wherever the heck you use. And then you gotta read PDF the darn thing and send it again. Come on, be smart. Join Pot Match. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say right there. So once we complete this visual or audio journey, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.